Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out Clint Eastwood and the Birth of Gorillaz, New British Canon.
Cartoon bands as a concept had existed before Gorillaz. While the Archies, Josie and the Pussycats, and Alvin and the Chipmunks had toyed with the medium, Gorillaz was the first time where it was more than just a novelty. For the past 2 decades, they have been pumping out weird and wonderful pop music, spanning multiple genres, and featuring far-reaching musical guests. Who would have thought that the guy from Blur would work with Bobby Womack, Nena Cherry, Noel Gallagher, and half of The Clash? But beyond that, the group has defied all expectations and become global superstars. As much as they are a cartoon band, the project has evolved way beyond that. But it had to start somewhere, with their first tentative steps. This is New British Canon, and this is the story of Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about comparing Gorillaz to Josie and the Pussycats and Alvin and the Chipmunks, because I feel like those earlier cartoon bands were made for a TV show, right? It's just like an opportunity for them to have a musical break. But Gorillaz was purposely made for the music, you know? There's no TV show, just music videos. I appreciate that. And I do remember when I heard that it was Damon Albarn from Blur, and I was shocked, but I thought it was really brilliant, because you can do so much with a cartoon character that you can't do with an actual human being, you know? They can follow the trends easier. They don't go out of style, really. I mean, they could, but it's a lot easier to change. I'm interested to hear about how they came about. Okay, Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett, 1990 to 99, Blur, Tank Girl, and Bad Pop Music.
The creation of Gorillaz all comes down to 2 men, Damon Albarn and Jamie Hewlett. Albarn had made himself known, in the UK at least, as the frontman of Britpop entity Blur. With the band's previous 2 albums, Blur and 13, they had tried to distance themselves musically from their Britpop roots, experimenting with American alt-rock, psychedelia, and electronica.
Oh. I missed that Blur album and Beetlebum. Oh.
Despite this, Albarn felt limited by the band dynamic, being one voice of 4. Some soundtrack work had whetted his appetite for a solo career, but was unsure of the direction. On the other hand, Hewlett was the creator of the Tank Girl series of comics, and deemed to be one of the defining pop artists of the 1990s.
Okay.
But by 94, he'd grown tired of his creation, having been drawing her for 6 years. We were going to kill the character off when MGM phoned up. We knew that if MGM got their hands on it, they'd fuck it up. But we didn't care because they offered us quite a lot of money.
Nice.
Enough to make me go, oh, okay. The resultant film, 1990.
Everyone has the price. So Jamie Hewlett, I had not heard of him before this video. Let's do a search. I remember Tank Girl, the movie. I think I saw a little bit of it, and it's not for me. I'll just say that. But I didn't know it was a comic book before. But the art they showed looks like Gorillaz, so I guess this is the guy. This is the guy that drew them, or draws them, or designs them. Brought up in Horsham, West Sussex. Where's that? Show me on a map. Horsham. What a name. Where is it? Oh, on the southern coast. So he may have been a rich kid. Okay.
Enough to make me go, oh, okay. The resultant film, 1995's Tank Girl, starring Laurie Petty and Ice-T, bombed financially and critically was not well received. But what next? Albarn and Hewlett had originally met in 1990. Blur's guitarist Graham Coxon persuading Hewlett to interview the fledgling band for Deadline magazine, home of Tank Girl. Through the mid-90s London party scene, Hewlett and Albarn kept in touch, After breakups with their respective long-term girlfriends, the pair decided to move in together. After a few months of shameless celebrity-packed parties in their swanky new flats, they began to look forwards. We'd spent hours watching MTV and wondering why everything on it was so terrible. I think Damon was tired of being the frontman for Blur, and I was just aghast at how boring most pop groups were when they were interviewed. So we said, let's make up a fake band.
Oh, interesting. So Damon was tired of being 1/4 of a band and the frontman. He and Jamie were buddies. They moved in together. It's wild that they decided to do that, kind of, because I'm sure they both had enough money to live by themselves, but they chose to have a roommate, you know? That's an interesting choice at the stage of life that they were in. I don't think they're homosexuals. They don't seem, I mean, maybe they are, I don't know. But I'm not getting a boyfriend vibe from them. And they'd watch MTV and the bands were so boring in interviews. So they thought, let's make a fake band that's interesting in interviews or doesn't do interviews. Interesting. Okay. Murdoch, Nichols, 2D, Russell Hobbs, and Noodle. 1966 to 98. El Diablo, community service, and a FedEx crate.
Gorillaz originated with Murdoch Nichols. Born in Stoke-on-Trent in 1966, his formative inspirations were the likes of Black Sabbath, The Clash, and Anton LaVey.
Heavy metal music and devil worshipping became my favourite pastimes. My brother Hannibal's tastes were more dub and punk based, but I soaked it all up. Actually, it was my love of The Clash that eventually opened up the world of dub reggae to me. But my first true love was always heavy metal. Lovely, thick, gooey black metal.
This is fake, right? So was the cartoon character based on a real guy? The voice sounds like he's reading. It sounds like he's reciting a predetermined set of words. So I think this is a put on. This is part of it, right? Yeah.
After making some negotiations with Beelzebub, he acquired Satan's own bass guitar, fittingly named El Diablo. He spent his adolescence and early 20s fronting various groups, including Petula Clark, Crimson Backdraft, and Burning Sensations, with limited success. As much as he had musical vision and the Dark Lord's backing, he needed a face and voice more agreeable than his own to get through to the music-buying public. In August 1997, Nichols' path collided with amateur keyboard geek Stuart Potts, quite literally. While attempting to acquire new musical equipment through non-financial means, Nichols drove a Vauxhall Astra through Uncle Norm's Organ Emporium, straight into Potts, who happened to be working there at the time. The collision knocked Potts' left eye straight out of his head and left him in a vegetative state. Nichols was sentenced to 30,000 hours of community service.
30,000 hours? How many 8-hour days is that? That's 3,750 days?
And 10 hours a week looking after the comatose Potts. During one of these fun-filled sessions, while Nichols was doing donuts in a Nottingham car park, a jolt made Potts fly through the windscreen and hit the curb face first. This not only relieved him of his right eye, but also his catatonic state. As he rose to his feet, eyeless and half his face missing, Nichols knew he'd found his frontman.
Oh, I didn't realize that the lead singer of Gorillaz had no eyes, but now I see it. I thought those were dilated pupils, but those are eye holes, sockets. That's kind of disgusting, but very cool. Rock!
Potts would soon adopt the moniker of 2D in honor of the two deep black dents in his face. Next was drummer Russell Hobbs. Formerly of Brooklyn, New York, he was sent to England by his parents for his own safety after a drive-by shooting by the Grim Reaper himself killed all his friends but spared him.
Immediately, that's when all these spirits that goes to my dead departed friends all entered my body, like they was being sucked up, like sheets being sucked up into a vacuum cleaner. Bam, bam, whoosh, bam, straight into me.
The event turned his eyes a milky white and gave him the musical abilities of his dead friends. Hobbs was then kidnapped by Nichols and taken to Kong Studios in Essex. He stayed because of how good Nichols' demos were. Their guitarist Noodle, a Japanese 10-year-old, joined the group after being sent to Kong Studios in a FedEx crate.
We heard a knock at the studio door, and there's this big box there. And out jumped a small Japanese person carrying a Les Paul. I couldn't make out a word she was saying. It's just gibberish. But then she unleashed a massive guitar riff, what sounded like 200 demons screaming in Arabic. It was brilliant. She ended it with a 20-foot-high karate jump. She bowed and just said one word. Noodle.
Yo, Stewart sounds really stressed out, doesn't he? I thought he would be a laid-back, charismatic, have-it-all-together kind of guy, but he's stressed. He's panicky. Neurotic.
Noodle.
With all their members in place, they set about writing music, their first creation being Ghost Train, formed from a sample of the Human League's The Sound of the Crowd. Their first gig was at the Camden Brown House in November 1998, and it ended in a riot.
Awesome.
But despite having only one song, they were instantly signed by EMI for their Parlophone label.
I love how in-depth they're going with this fake history. They really put some thought into this. One song, and they got a record deal from it. That's funny.
What they needed now was to write more songs and assemble them into an album.
Okay. Recording Gorillaz, 1997 to 2001, Massive Attack, On Your Own, and guest musicians.
With the law in place, Gorillaz needed a sound. Albarn wasn't satisfied with doing Blur Mark II, and so for the most part abandoned guitar music. If he was trying to satirize the fake nature of pop bands like A1 and NSYNC, he would need to be making pop music, but with a twist.
Okay.
Bands like Big Audio Dynamite, The Specials, and Massive Attack were templates for what he wanted to do. Groups that created music unique to them, not tied down to a genre or scene.
I like
That's
that.
what I've always wanted to do, because I always wanted to be in The Specials, and then I wanted to be in Massive Attack. And that's just kind of what I've mixed really. It's The Specials and Massive Attack together to make Gorillaz.
I want to look up the Specials and Massive Attack. I feel like I've heard of Massive Attack, but I don't know any of their songs. I've just heard the band name. I don't think I've heard of the Specials. Show me on Apple Music. What's their top song? A Message to You, Rudy. Okay, it's like Scottish. Ghost Town. Reggae. Okay. I hear it a little bit. I hear the Gorillaz in there. All right, let's look up Massive Attack. Or I hear them in the Gorillaz. In Gorillaz. I keep saying the. What's the top song? Angel. Nice low end. Bass. Oh, okay. Yeah. I hear that in Gorillaz as well. This is making sense.
Well, Ghost Train was indeed the first song Albarn wrote for the project, back when they were named Gorilla, singular. He'd been experimenting with that sound within Blur since 1997.
He said Gorilla.
It's called On Your Own, but you know what? That's kind of like one of the first ever Gorillaz tunes, if you want to look at kind of how things sort of develop. I mean, that was definitely a moment where I thought, oh, I quite like doing it this way as well.
The album was written and recorded in bits and pieces from December 1998 through October 2000, initially starting in Albarn's London studio, before moving over to Jamaica's G-Jam Studios to complement the reggae-tinged music that Albarn was creating.
G-Jam Studios in Jamaica? Show me on a map. G-Jam. G-Jam. That is Jamaica. It's on the cusp. Look at that. Oh, that's the hotel. Let's check out G-Jam Hotel. Beautiful. Oh my god. Wow. Kind of looks like South Florida. Oh, there's the studio. Where they got a Neve console over there. What was that? Is that a Neve console? One of the newer Neve consoles? Alcohol. Look at the beach. Oh, hang on. Where's the studio? Well, I don't know if the studio's there anymore, but I see where G-Jam is.
Starting in Albarn's London studio, before moving over to Jamaica's G-Jam Studios to to complement the reggae-tinged music that Albarn was creating. But the process wasn't all on Albarn. He invited Dan the Automator of Dr. Octagon and Primal Scream's Exterminator fame to produce. The musician guest list, something that later Gorillaz albums would double down on, features Tina Weymouth of the Talking Heads on 19-2000. Cuban singer Abraham Feria on Latin Simone. As well as Scratching from Kid Koala and Miho Hattori of Sibo Matto supplying the vocal for Noodle.
Get the cool. Get the cool shisha.
As a result,
Okay,
the
I remember
final
that.
product is an eclectic mix of hip-hop, trip-hop, dub and pop. But what it still needed was a blockbuster single.
Yeah. I bet that was really fun for those guest musicians to play somebody else, use their voice to it's like doing the voice on a cartoon. I mean, that's literally what they're doing. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I bet that was fun for them, you know, to play somebody else, to try something different and have some creative output that's not gonna have weight on their personal careers, you know? I bet that would be refreshing for them. Clint Eastwood is that first big song, yeah. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, right? 1999 to 2001, Ennio Morricone, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, and Zombies.
Instrumentally, Clint Eastwood is a very simple song. Its reggae-inspired chords were played on a Selena string ensemble keyboard. This was augmented with a drum machine beat, and Albarn's favoured instrument at the time, the melodica. Inspired in part by dub legend Augustus Pablo's use of the instrument.
Oh,
The melody line that Albarn peppers within the song is what gave Clint Eastwood its name, due to its comparative similarity to Ennio Morricone's theme for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
okay. I never noticed that.
If I hadn't spent all those years learning how to play instruments, I'd be using a sampler to put all these pieces together. Instead, I use a songwriting method that's a lot like sampling, without actually digitally sampling. Gorillaz is how I take everything I hear and filter it.
It's interesting. So it's like he's sampling, but he's sampling the musical ideas and recreating them.
Initially, Thy Life Cypher rapped on the track.
All right.
But Dan the Automator felt his verses could be improved on. Having worked with Del the Funky Homo Sapien on the Deltron 3030 album, Dan invited him to step it up and write something better.
Finally, someone let me out of my cage. Now, time for me is nothing cause I'm counting no A's.
Dan gave me very little information to work with. He told me the song came from the point of view of Russell, and there's a ghost living in his head of a dead friend, I believe, or something like that. So his spirit is still with him. So I'm like, okay, and what else? That's it? I'm supposed to write something with just that? He's like, just be creative. You have creative license to do what you think it's about from there.
That's actually quite a bit of information. Most rap verses just come out of the thin air and you gotta think up, you know, what's this song about? What am I saying? Well done, Del. Funky Homo Sapien. And who was the first guy that rapped on it? Phi Life Cypher. I've never heard the Phi Life Cypher verse before, and it sounds like he's kind of on a faster wavelength than the song is, because the song's like da 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 da, and he's like da 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 ba da ba ba ba. Whereas Del, the what's his name, was more in the wavelength of the song.
Corruption in the sky from the...
Del would also feature on the single Rock the House.
I know you like that. You wanna try that? It's like a flashback. So shake your ass crack.
But the music video is what spun heads. Created by a team of about 25 led by Hewlett, the creepy cool video took just under 4 months to animate.
Wow.
What could have been a standard band performance video is thrown out the window because A, they are a cartoon band. B, Russell's departed friend Del the Ghost Rapper makes an appearance. And C, there are zombie gorillas. Zombies in pop music videos are not new. In fact, Michael Jackson's Thriller video is explicitly referenced. But Hewlett in particular had an affinity for the horror subgenre, watching various zombie flicks while animating. The opening of the video features an on-screen quote from 1978's Dawn of the Dead, in both Japanese and English.
Every dead body that is not exterminated becomes one of them. It gets up and kills. The people it kills get up and kill.
Zombies are always a metaphor. In Dawn of the Dead, they represent rampant consumerism. In Clint Eastwood, they stand in for the fake pop bands that Gorillaz were formed to defeat.
Oh, okay. But the band is Gorillaz. No, okay. I love that the Gorillaz have these erect nipples. Okay.
They stand in for the fake pop bands that Gorillaz were formed to defeat. The video was also the perfect way to introduce the band to the public. By the end, viewers knew each member's name, look, and personality. The anonymity of Gorillaz was a plus for Albarn, no longer having to be in the music video or be the center of attention that his Britpop years in Blur had thrust upon him. I don't think I was ever cut out to be a great frontman. I think it's something I enjoyed to a degree, but I think I was a bit too self-conscious.
Okay. The release of Clint Eastwood, 2001 to whenever. Charting, Ed Case, Refix, and Influence.
Clint Eastwood was released as a single on the 5th of March 2001. Its innovative video and ample airplay got the track to number 3 in the UK charts. A more high-tempo garage remix by Ed Case also helped the track get play with club DJs, and was the version that appeared on Now 48.
I'm feeling glad I got sunshine in a bag. I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on.
Said enemy of the remix. A little shift in perspective, and suddenly you've got a West London basement jacks, embodying a more interesting and accurate vision of England than anything Blur dared to attempt.
Wow.
The album went number 3 in the UK charts and climbed to number 14 in the US Billboard chart. Despite having 3 top 10 singles in the US Billboard Hot 100, Blur were never really embraced by the US. Gorillaz, on the other hand, were. And worldwide, Clint Eastwood became Damon Albarn's biggest hit, particularly resonating with Italy, Japan, and South America. It has since been praised by NME and Rolling Stone as one of the greatest songs of the 2000s. The song and Gorillaz' lasting impact can be seen on the next generation of alternative music. No longer merely guitar pop, artists like the 1975, Foster the People, AWOL Nation, and Paramore have taken Gorillaz' collision of rock, hip-hop, and electronica and run with it. From the hip-hop side of things, Tyler the Creator, Brockhampton, Trippie Redd, and A$AP Rocky have all noted the influence of Gorillaz' first album. They also proved that a virtual band concept could work, resulting in Adult Swim's Def Jam, Hatsune Miku, and even Poppy, pushing the boundaries of how you can deliver pop music in a postmodern context. Gorillaz showed that it could be more than a gimmick. The animated video was no doubt attractive to younger fans, aided by Gorillaz' award-winning web integration, and it expanded that generation's sonic palette. No longer satisfied with the sweetest pop bubblegum, with Gorillaz, Albarn could expose them to concepts that did not get radio play. Latin folk, reggae, trip-hop, spaghetti westerns, and George Romero. Gorillaz would go on to bigger and better things, with starrier guest musicians. But Clint Eastwood was the start. The moment where an art rocker, a cartoonist, a satanist, an eyeless crooner, a possessed drummer, and a 10-year-old joined forces, and somehow it made sense. The future was coming on.
Nicely done. Y'all be sure to go to Trash Theory and like and subscribe. Oh wait, there's more.
Thanks for watching. What's your favorite Gorillaz track? Comment down below.
Wow. I'm surprised. Isn't it crazy that this this is Damon Albarn's biggest thing, his biggest success, after all the stuff with Blur. I'm surprised in this video they didn't show any footage of them performing live. I don't know how they do it now, but I think when they first started, there would be a screen and you could see their silhouettes, but you couldn't see the people, which was a really smart idea. And I didn't realize they had such influence on these other artists later on. A$AP Rocky and Tyler the Creator. Let's check out Gorillaz on iTunes Music. Share me on Apple iTunes. Oh, Feel Good. Oh, right. These are different characters. Oh, there's 2D. Oh, no, they're not. Noodles just dyed her hair. Okay. Clint Eastwood is number 2 on Melancholy Hill. I think I had Demon Days. I think that's the album I had. What's their latest album? They came out with an album last year. I can't play it on YouTube, but if you would like to hear my work, check out Do Ya Thing official video Gorillaz featuring Andre 3000 James Murphy. I recorded Andre's vocals. If you made it this far in the video, how about giving me a like and subscribe? Be sure to go to Trash Theory and give them a like and subscribe. I'd like to thank my patrons, my Buy Me a Coffee friends. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Later.